Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Stefanie Drysdale's weekly cybersecurity recap number 39 for Friday, October 2nd, 2020. Ms. Stefanie, take it away.
Hey, Chuck. We'll just jump straight in today. Prescient's having a crazy day. We're crazy busy, so I'll just jump right in. So StaySafeOnline.org reminded us that October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So it's kind of like a birthday for us cyber people. It's kind of fun. So we're going to be sharing lots of tips and info and everything to keep you all and your teams and your loved ones safe. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions or specific concerns that you've been having, anything that's been keeping you up at night. So feel free to reach out. ZDNet shared an article this week about a really specific and very clever phishing attack. The researchers actually went as far as to call it ingenious. So it starts really slowly and builds into a huge wave of account takeovers. It's suspicious in that none of the victims had ever received an email from any new contacts that day. Eventually, it was determined that the emails had been sent as replies to actual genuine emails, either between employees and suppliers and customers, or either internally between colleagues. What was happening was that once one email was compromised, the new credentials were sent to a remote bot who would then sign into the account, analyze the emails within the past several days, and then reply to only the most recent emails with a link to another phishing page that would capture even more credentials. So the wording was really generic so as not to raise any suspicions. Given the context, all of it seemed pretty reasonable and thus continued to spread in a worm-like mass takeover. So the only way they were able to stop this was finding a pattern in the URL of the phishing pages that could be added to a quarantine list and create that rule. And then multi-factor authentication was implemented for the accounts that had not already had it enabled. Really, really good shameless plug here for multi-factor authentication. Make sure that everyone has those on their devices. That's just another layer of security. So keep an eye on those things. And if anything looks suspicious, even if it's a reply to something that you have replied to before or been communicating in, still use the degree of caution when it comes to clicking links or visiting other pages. This week, CNET shared an article on SIM swapping. We had a lot of conversation around this in my threads, so I thought it was worth bringing up, especially Cybersecurity Awareness Month. This is just a reminder for you to log into your cell providers, into your account for your cell provider, and check your security settings. Make sure you have a really tough password that you've never used before. Create a PIN, enable multi-factor authentication, make sure you have security questions, and not easy ones that can be guessed from information that someone could Google on, about you online, not your dog or your mother's maiden name, none of that kind of stuff that's super easy. And then perhaps call customer service rep and ask them if you have everything on your account that you possibly could, any kind of locks or freezes or anything. Very, very important that everyone lock these things down. All someone needs is your cell phone number. I know that we give our cell phone number out pretty freely, but this is just yet another reason not to. If I know your cell phone number, if I can Google your name, guess your address, and then all the other pieces of information that I would potentially need to verify that I'm the account holder on your account, all of a sudden I've taken over your phone. So be sure that you've got all of those protections enabled and that none of them are easily guessed or found online. Tech Radar shared an article on Behind the Hack, how tech journalists were voluntarily hacked in the name of research. Another really good example of how your information online, all your PII, your personal identifiable information, how it can be used, how we're all oversharing to a degree without really knowing it or realizing it. This is just a reminder to occasionally just Google yourself, see what you can find out about yourself just from some quick Google searches, and make sure that the information that you're sharing is information that you would share with your worst enemy, because sometimes that's actually who ends up with it. In Cyber Defense shared an article this week about MIT research suggesting that companies with digitally savvy leaders and boards far outperform their peers. They're suggesting that you have at least 3 on your board that are digitally savvy. They say that 1 tends to just kind of get lost and ignored. 2 tend to kind of create this mini bubble with each other, and everyone else just kind of doesn't listen or understand. And 3 tend to spread a little bit more throughout, where the conversations that need to be had are had. So make sure that you have a board that is not only diverse in terms of gender and perspective and culture, but also in skill set, and make sure that you got some techies on there. Lastly, this week, lots of talk about disinformation around the campaign. We're getting very, very close, now, especially with the president having tested positive for COVID-19, along with the First Lady. Lots of misinformation, lots of disinformation out there. So be careful what you're sharing, be careful what you're believing. Take your time, you go to trusted sources, and again, let's try to, stay together. We're all on the same team. Let's not be so tribal that we end up destroying ourselves from within. Anyway, I hope you all are well and enjoying the week, and have a great weekend. And I look forward to seeing you next Friday.